Welcome to Positive Philter with your host, Philip Wilkerson, a podcast that focuses on friends, family, health, and career with a little self-help along the way. Please join me in this journey for self-improvement, and I hope what I have to share will make you a better person, thus making the world a better place. I hope you enjoy the show. Yeah, about half an hour.
Okay.
I'll have to trim that part out. Hello, people of the world. It's Philip Wilkerson back with another episode of Positive Philter. I'm joined by a special guest. Everyone's a special guest because they take their time to join me for their show. Now, as you know, sometimes I meet my guests for the first time doing this podcast, and I'm really astounded by this leader in career planning because I work in career development. The good doctor, like I say, the good Dr. Chaz Austin. But before we get in this dialogue, Dr. Austin, can you share a little bit about who you are? And then we'll have this dialogue about careers and career planning and the like.
Let's see. The way I brand myself is that I train people to self-market for the gig economy, which is where we're going. Whether that's right or wrong, that's the direction we're going in. I'll always have work. People don't know how to do this. We were never trained to do this. We were trained to be good boys and girls, get an education, have a good resume, know how to interview, and find a job. Well, the jobs are going away. It's a freelance world. So this is a whole new skill set, which is how do I market myself? Excuse me, what? I have a brand? What? This is, it's like pulling teeth trying to train people how to do this. And I've worked with people from ages 14 to 84. And in every industry you could imagine, and no one quite knows how to do this. So that's what I do. My work is available online on my LinkedIn page, on my website, chazaustin.com. I have a TEDx talk. I have 3 courses on LinkedIn Learning. I have 2 books with a third one coming out soon on how to do all this. And I also teach in person and on Zoom to explain and train people how to do all this.
I love it. So like, how did that, obviously as I navigate the career development space and we coded something else, we thinking like marketing yourself does take aspects of your resume. That's technically a tool to market yourself, your LinkedIn. And then doing that, when you do informational interviews, you're hyping yourself up. But like I've always thought about that too with students thinking about, but you're also a personal brand. You think about the corporations and the organizations on a large scale, they market themselves, and we're doing that day to day. How did you come to start studying this and teaching the personal brand thought, and how each person is marketing themselves at all times?
I start at the end with Muhammad Ali's quote, "Service is the rent we pay for our room here on earth." That's not the hook. The hook is the money, because that's what gets people interested. But underneath that, between you and me and all your listeners, is service and contribution, that everyone has a particular brand, set of skills and talents that no one else in the world has. I've worked with thousands of people in my career, and nobody's got the same brand. So what is it you offer that people will pay for to make the world a better place, to make your industry better, to improve people's lives? And that's the focus. And what's critical to that is understanding your target market. Who's your audience? Who can use what you got? Who will pay for it? Because I've got about 35,000 followers on LinkedIn, but I'm a big believer in social media now, but in finding work. But we're not looking for fans, as I tell my private clients. We're looking for money. So who's gonna pay you for what you got? How do you keep upskilling so that you're always offering more to people who say, I can use that. That would help me in my business and my enterprise.
I love that. It's upskilling, and what do I, looking for the money. When does it tip over that things you like to do naturally turn into things that you get for money? So for instance, Most recently, I'm starting to dive into public speaking. I was just talk for free. I was doing this for free all the time. I'll talk to kids, in higher ed. I work, do workshops and panels. And then I realized, wow, I'm investing more time. When does it tip over to say, wow, someone's going to actually pay for me, pay this for me? Like, how do you coach someone to say, take something that you're really good at and find ways to get money for that? That's really a challenge for a lot of people. Is
Uh,
they're naturally good in their upskilling, but they don't, I guess, turn into look for the money wise.
we live under capitalism. You have to pay your bills. And you have to have a sense that what you offer has value to people. And you're networking, presumably with colleagues who will tell you what a good starting point is to offer your services, what people will pay for what you specifically do. Um, and understand that that's one of the rewards in doing the work you do, that you get paid presumably well for it. And the other rewards are that you get to make a very positive impact on the people that you interface with, that you make a difference in their lives, that your life has meaning and value to people, that you are, again, making the world a better place. And improving things for people, and that's a career. Is that you make a lot of money, and you do work that you love, that helps people. And I've frankly had that over and over again, fortunately, in my life and the work I do. And it's a reason to get up in the morning, because the money ain't enough. Um, there's got to be a purpose behind all this, and a reason to get up in the morning and do what you have to do and go through all the stuff you have to get through, all the logistics and so on. But it's worth it, because my life has a purpose and meaning, and I want that for all the students and private clients that I work with.
I'm very interested about when someone's working on their brand in later years. You said you had some clients in their 80s and clients, obviously post retirement. Can you talk about the scenario when they probably need that revamp and personal brand? Is it like encore jobs, or like, what do I do next with my career? Like, when you start working with clients in that age group, why? What are they? What kind of motivations do they have?
I have a colleague, Joy Schwartz, who coined a term called recareering. So I stay away from the concept, and have my clients stay away from the concept of retiring. No, you're going into a new career, and maybe now you've gotten to a point in your prior career or present career where you now have the financial freedom to do what you've always dreamed of doing. I always wanted to do X, but because of family matters and responsibilities and kids and so on, I never could. Now I can. So it's a new career for me. So how that looks, again, it's all individualized, but in terms of the client. Some people want to work part time. Some people want to volunteer. Some people want to continue working and have enough money. And what I tell them, which may seem a little odd, is go buy yourself a job. And the answer is, excuse me, you have money, invest in a company and give yourself a title, executive vice president, and you have a new career doing something you always wanted to do, presumably, or doing the next thing. I mean, we have multiple careers. Our parents and grandparents didn't have that luxury. For
Mm,
us, after 5, 10 years, you get bored. I'm going to do something else, or the industry changes and you have to do something else. So, if you're staying healthy and taking care of yourself, and treating the old line from a TV show called Laverne and Shirley, you're treating your body like a temple, not an amusement park. Um, you've been taking care of yourself and you're in good shape physically and mentally. You can still contribute to the greater good, and in a more senior capacity. That's when you can become a consultant, because people will value and pay for all your years of experience,
I see
which
that.
which in your 20s you didn't have, but you do now. So you make it work, if it's part-time, if it's volunteer, whatever it is, so that you're still doing good work.
I love it. I mean, I'm thinking about that. I think this is maybe the topic where I love it, like career planning for the re-careering, because that was the first time I heard that, and I think this is actually probably in this gig economy probably even bigger. Have you noticed, because of the economy and the money, that people are needing to re-career more often to stay afloat? Like, like they can't just not do anything, that they need to have I guess, an encore career, continue to work later on in life, or work longer? We're living longer; they have to work longer.
Yeah,
Is that
I,
correct?
I have a friend who said, I plan to retire 5 years after I die. People can't afford it in many cases. They have to keep working. If you're fortunate enough to have built up enough of a nest egg, you can perhaps do it part time. Um, but you have to continue working. And it's a good thing in a way because you still have a lot to give. And the financial, unfortunately for everybody, the financial problems or issues or challenges force you to keep working. So need to stay healthy.
I like it. And then I was thinking, going back to it, it's like, do you realize, is there more resistance about their brand development later in life, or it's probably easier because they're more firm in who they are? Like, you think, when I think of personal brand, I always do like a little exercise, like, what are your top three values and what do you care about? And I would assume that someone that's more seasoned in life or more firm in what they're valued, right? Like, I know I've seen the world, I know what I value more, so I can really align that with my personal brand. Or have you found a little bit more challenges?
Good point. Millennials are accused of, I deserve this, but I find that the most difficult people to work with are baby boomers because they truly believe they deserve it. I've worked my whole life. I deserve a job. Yeah, I no, you don't deserve anything. Sorry, to tell you the hard truth. They're very resistant. Baby boomers very resistant to change. This is the way it's always been. I have enough of a track record built up. Where's my job? Give me a job. I should not have to do this. I had a nurse once I worked with. She'd been a nurse for 40 years. They closed the hospital. I said, "You're going to have to do a little marketing." She said, "I shouldn't have to. I'm a nurse. I just want to be a nurse." Well, everyone has two jobs now. One is their job, and the other one is constantly marketing themselves and branding and rebranding and upskilling so they can get to the next level in their career or start a new one if that's what's necessary. A lot of fields are going out. There just are no jobs in those fields. You're going to have to shift focus and learn what you have to learn and get whatever certificates or degrees or licenses so you can go to the next phase. And it's a new challenge, keeps you young.
I was about to
You-
say, I love the upskilling saying. What are some challenges, like finance, not financial, like digital literacy? Is it like, oh, I shout out. I love my mother-in-law, but she probably gonna hear this later down. But my mother-in-law, she grumbles. She hates the technology, man.
yeah,
She smacked the computer. I was like, that stupid machine. You know what I'm saying? And like, but
too
you gotta
bad.
keep it up because billing, she's, the things that she's working, billing is going electronic. She's gonna have to, do things electronically and bill electronically and not
Yeah.
fax things anymore. So what's some
Uh,
thoughts on upskilling?
so to your mother-in-law, I say, too bad. Sorry. This is the way it's going, and you need to stop resisting. My wife gave me a term: digital immigrants and digital natives. Digital natives are the people who grew up with this stuff. It's second nature to them. In the womb, there was an umbilical cord and a phone charger. This is what they know, and digital immigrants are people who've had to learn it after and when they were grown, and they'll never be as good at it as younger people, but it's a necessary skill. It's like if you live in Chicago, you need a winter coat. I don't care. I'm this tough love. I don't care if you like it. You're going to freeze to death if you don't have one. If you live in LA, you probably need to drive a car to get around because I'm in LA. We have terrible. We're trying, but we have terrible public transportation. So you have to drive a car. This is what's necessary. You want to keep working. You have to be good at computers. You have to be good with apps. You have to be good with social media. There's no discussion on that. You want a job, that's what it's going to take. You want to work, that's what it's going to take. Otherwise, you're dealing with millennials and Gen Zers and Gen X people who are I can't hire my grandma. She doesn't get it. So it's tough enough that you're older, but if you're not up to date with technology, you've shot yourself in the foot and you will not get work. That's just how it is. And I tell people, I don't care if you like it, you just have to do it. That's
Yeah.
all.
So
This isn't a,
what
go
would be
ahead.
some what would be some strategies for that digital immigrant? I mean, I think it seems very daunting, and it's probably harder, because you know, you have to like put yourself out there. It's more uncomfortable, I guess. But what was what's some strategies to do this?
Um, the strategy is you have to write down, whether it's on a computer screen or on paper, what's missing. What skills do you need to have to stay competitive to keep getting work? And if you write it down, you get it out of your head. This is what I need to do. I need to get better with Microsoft Office. I need to learn these particular programs and apps that are specific to my field in order to be competitive, in order to get work. Because that's the first question I'm going to ask. Do you know X program? No, I've never heard of it. Well, thanks, Grandma. Have a nice life, but I couldn't possibly hire you. Yes, not only do I know the program, I have a certificate and I've been teaching it. Oh, good. Okay, so we can use you, and your age is not so relevant. Um, so it's like pulling teeth. They don't wanna. I don't care. I you want to work. This is what you have to do. And it's after a while they still don't like it, but they realize that's what they have to do, and they start. And if there's enough of a commitment, they'll do it. There's a wonderful term I use, which is actions consistent with your commitment. Meaning you can say one thing, but it's what you do that matters. So yeah, I'm going to learn this stuff. Yeah. But if you don't, you're not committed to it. It's not going to happen. That's what makes all the difference. And it's not for me as their coach. It's for them. You want to move forward. This is what you're going to have to learn. It's uncomfortable. You won't like it. I don't care. I want you working, and I want you fulfilling whatever it is you want in your life, and being self-actualized, and being able to contribute.
I love that. I mean, I think I'm always looking at the strengths based approach. You know, thinking about you know, combating ageism, regardless of the digital immigrant. You know, I think one of the things when you think about just immigrants in general is the innate sense of resiliency, right? Like, could you imagine going to another country and you had to be incredibly resilient to survive in a new country? So that's the resiliency of that's the positive when I see immigrants is that resiliency. What are some of the positives that you see for the re careers that, and let me phrase, the late read careers that you think is a tremendous benefit? I think you spoke to it earlier regards to consulting, but what are some other tremendous assets that they bring to the table, being a read career, and regardless of technology, they're bringing something to the workforce that should be, you know, valued.
They're bringing patience, they're bringing experience, they're bringing a coolness under fire where not everything's a big drama. Yes, I've been there, I've seen it before, we can handle it. It's just a problem. So it takes a lot of the drama out of things, and you become a sort of the calm center where all the little children are running around. Oh my God, oh my God. It's not, oh my God, it's just another problem. Yeah. Now, to my mind, and I have a doctorate in organizational leadership, managers identify and solve problems.
Unknown caller. Right.
Managers identify and solve problems. That's what managers do. That's my definition of management. Yes? So it's not that big a deal. Unless you work in an ER, no one's going to die. It's just a problem. So, as someone who's experienced, someone who's older, someone who has a work history, you bring that to the table. And of course, you have good computer skills and good social media skills. So you understand how to communicate with younger people and with a younger audience, and more and more younger audience. Yeah, the old folks are dying off, but you still have a lot to give. And if the people who are going to hire you understand that, that's a real gift you're giving them, even if you're only working for them part time. It's something that they need. It's something rock steady, that will help stabilize an organization.
I love that. So, do you ever feel like you have to like coach them on that, like get them out of their, I guess, get people that are re-careers out of the self-loathing and help them see their strengths more often, or they, like you said, maybe it's the opposite. They already think they got all these strengths, and you need to sometimes humble them more often. Which one do you think you see more often? Uplifting people or humbling them more often? I don't know. You know, just this is the anecdotal question. This is from your experience. That's all.
Um, uh, so more often, whether I see people on one side of the line in terms of technology or the other, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying more so like the re-careers. I love this topic about re-careers and people late in their career. Do you see like more often that you have to build them up and talk about, wow, you really have all these skills and patience, coolness under fire experience, or the opposite, like as you said, they gotta humble them more often. Like, no, you don't have these like nothing is given to you because of your world of work and experience. You need to, like you said,
Yeah,
that technology. Like, do you need to humble them or uplift them more often? Like,
it's a good question. It's both.
okay,
It's grounded coaching. So
yes,
you may be a consultant in the manufacturing field. So let's get honest about this. You're not the greatest coach in the manufacturing field that's ever lived, okay? But you do have specific things to offer. So it's two things at once. On the one hand, a grounded sense of what they offer. These are specific things, you've written them down that you have. This is what you can deliver, people will pay for. That's one, period. Now, let's look at what's missing to make you more attractive and have you be paid better. So, and if you're older, it's probably your social media and computer skills. And they're resistant. And okay, so we need to build that up. You want to work? Yes, good. So you need to learn this. Every millions of people have, so can you. Yeah, you're not that special, you're not that dumb, you can figure it out. You do it over and over again, you'll get good. You don't have to be a genius at it, but good enough so that you can communicate with younger people you're going to be working with, and understand that, and always know there's going to be something missing, and it's a constant learning, on technology, because it changes almost daily. Really, it's frightening. But you don't have to be great at it, but good enough so that you're comfortable with it, and other people are comfortable working with you that way. So yeah, it's both. It's
okay.
both.
I was thinking, um, and what about the spaces where, like you said, the world of work is changing and we're going more expansive into a gig economy? Has there been a lot of struggles, like who's adapt and amped to really take full advantage of this gig economy, or are you seeing like particularly more challenges for this recareer generation, boomer generation, with this gig economy transition?
The challenges are enormous if you're young, um, because of costs. Because I just read a piece in the New York Times about how Gen Zers cannot afford ever to have a home, to
Yes.
own a house, ever. So they're living in really tough conditions, living with their parents, living with roommates, living in tiny places, and the dream of homeownership is gone for so many of them, sadly. So this is where my philosophy, so to speak, of understanding your brand and building the brand, will allow you to have clients rather than a boss in a job, since the jobs are going away, and you've always got an income and you're always hustling. So both at the same time, always hustling for work, and there's always money coming in. You're never unemployed, but you're constantly marketing yourself to people who would pay you for what you can offer them in your industry. I think this is the new way to go, until hopefully the union movement grows and people can be protected at jobs. But then again, if there's no jobs, being protected at a job is kind of ridiculous. So I think both need to happen. I'm very encouraged by the work of unions, because that's your only power in a capitalistic system. It's all rigged toward the employer, and the only defense regular folks have is with a union. And temporarily, and this may be for the next 30 or 40 years, the model that I've created, where you have a brand and you're hustling and marketing yourself in the gig economy.
Yeah, I was thinking the home ownership really struck because we're very fortunate. I think it was a kind of an alley oop that uh, our first home was supported by our parents. Right, they saved money when we got married, and they helped us, and then we were able to keep up and just continuously. So that generational thing and coming into that. So I think about that. That really kind of struck home about the generation, the kids, my kids coming up. Maybe that's the best tool that the ones that actually have a house can really pass on, is that opportunity for ownership to the next generation, because it's going to be very hard and difficult for the next generation. So like ways that parents can think about how they pass that, like that's the thing, you can pass on those assets that that land, that's generational wealth because it's
Yeah,
going to be harder for them to get on their own.
these are tough times. It was America was supposed to be about every generation does better than the one before it, and we've gone backwards. So younger people, a lot of whom I work with, I just finished working with some high school graduates who are entering a place I've been teaching at for 6 years, Los Angeles Pierce College, um, and it's tough. I taught them a course in financial literacy, and which they didn't get in high school, unfortunately. To understand the pitfalls and what's going on so they can be smart about this and not get into credit card debt, et cetera, and understand how things work. Um, but these are tough times. And I think what I do arms people for not what used to be or what they want things to be, but the way things actually are and will be for presumably in the near future, um, so that they have a fighting chance. But it's tough for them. I feel badly for them. At the same time, I say I'm glad I'm old.
Well, I think yeah, I get that too. And maybe, I don't know, maybe in an optimistic way, it's like stock, where like maybe that generation has it really hard. And the one after them gets it, like it goes back up for like they're just unfortunately sandwiched in between a tough spot. But the generation after them, maybe their kids are got in this better space or they figured it out or, I don't know. Maybe I'll be gone by then. I don't know. Who knows? Like I
Yeah,
won't be 35.
I'm here to help. People are lost. Every generation lost. What's going on? Everything's changed. This isn't the rules are all different. I say they move the goalposts, but nobody told you. So the rules changed, and they're lost, and I help them get grounded into no. These are the new rules. This is the future. You're not going to like a lot about what I'm telling you, but I will give you new hope and new possibility. And new opportunities that you can create for yourself so that you can navigate something that's entirely new that we never planned on before and didn't even know was going to happen. And oh my God, what do I do? Calm down, take a deep breath. I'll help you through it. And I've done this so many times for so many people. It works. And what they're faced with is constantly the self-marketing. But after a while, you kind of get used to it, and you don't have to love it, but you embrace it because you're doing good for other people. So I tell my clients, you don't have to be great at it, just good enough to keep getting work. And then after a while, things start to turn, and they call you because you built up a reputation and you got referred and recommended by people they trust. And are you available? Yes, I am. I tell my people who aren't working, you're not unemployed, you're available. Um, and they start to learn to live with it. I don't like it, but you know what? This is the way to go. Thank you for your help, and I'm here if you need more coaching. So I'll work with people, and then we'll do a meeting once a month just for a pep talk and maybe tweak things a little in terms of their marketing effort and so on. But it's a whole new skill set. But what I tell them is you learn to use a smartphone, which the iPhone was introduced in 2007. It's only 16 years old. Yeah. You learn to use a smartphone. You could learn to self-market. New tool.
I love it. One of my thoughts, and I think we're going into a good segment, is called Shot for Shot. And I would love to stay in touch. We'll be engaged. You're now a part of the Positive Filter alumni group where
Yes.
I stay in touch with all my past guests and I got their emails and I love to communicate. But this is the part of the show called Shot for Shot where you get to ask me any random question. I ask you any random question just off the top of the head. You want to go first? I go first.
You go first.
What was one of the most creative recareer jobs that you encountered? Like someone said they always wanted to do something and it was just super, super dope, but they did it later in life.
Ah,
It's very
yeah,
subjective, but like for you, thought that was the coolest thing and very
yeah.
interesting.
One good story comes to mind. There are many, but one comes to mind. I had a student a few years ago who had been a video editor for many years, very successful, and he got a little older, and the calls stopped coming for his work. Part of it was he was older, because there's ageism certainly. Um, but the other part of it was that the technology changed and people could afford to buy video equipment at very low prices and do it themselves. So they didn't need them. So he said, I can't get work anymore. What do I do? I said, what else are you doing? He said, well, I run a nonprofit. Um, and I said, focus on that. And he did. And he's got a whole new life. And the nonprofit does utilize some of his video skills where he videos people talking about themselves. So he created a whole new life for himself. I have another student of mine actually who wanted to be a college professor. I said, they're not tenure is going away. You have to understand the marketplace. What
Mm.
else you got? And he said, well, I have this something called the Haitian Film Festival. He's from Haiti. And I see him posting all the time on Facebook. He's just going gangbusters with that and creating product and showing it all over the world at film festivals and getting awards and so on. So they have a whole new life. And yeah, so that's a couple of examples
I love
of
that.
good recareering.
I love it. Okay, what's your question for me?
What do you see? What do you see short-term future in the workplace? What do you think is going to happen in the next year or two?
Okay,
Um,
yeah, that's very interesting. I mean, I work at career services right now, and so I see a lot of the regional aspect of it. I think there's going to be a rise in non-traditional learning. There's going to be also a rise in, like you just said, certificates and boot camp style learning, where like I don't need a full degree. Let me just get this UX design certificate, this security plus this IT certificate, where if higher ed university or the universities don't tap into that and offer some kind of like partnership, then higher ed is going to go out, right? They're going to be like, I don't need to go to college. I just, need to pay this, maybe 1 grand, 2 grand and get it on my own and then just start working and promote themselves. I mean, we also see a lot of organizations doing it and marketing and like, not saying scapegoating, but like branding themselves. Like the Google Cloud certificate. So learn our Google stuff. The Amazon, like they're all saying like, and these are the ones that if you get the certificates with our stuff, and so then we'll hire you. And so I think
yeah,
I do it. I join in. I did one of the. I'm working on a free one right now. I'm working on the UX design one, just because, like you said, upskilling. Like I don't know if I'll need it, but I was interested in it and learning a little bit about website and app development, just to have it. Like I have a podcast, but I was thinking like maybe just having that in my tool belt, whether I need it or not, I can be adaptable. So I think that's going to be the rise of work. Is like
good point. Good point.
I have to jump in on
Yeah,
that.
good point. Yes, I have 3 degrees: bachelor's, master's, and a doctorate. And it sounds strange, but I always caution my students and clients, don't get overeducated. If you want to be a car mechanic, you do not need a bachelor's degree. You need certificates or a master's certificate in car repair, or knowing how to do fuel injection, or knowing how to repair e-cars. Yes, because the people who would hire you, that's what they're interested in. That's nice you have a bachelor's. If you have an extra 50 grand lying around in the future, go ahead and get a bachelor's. But you can't monetize that. So you need to have your education focused on what's going to get you work. And if it's a certificate, get that, because people will say, do you have that certificate? Yes. And I also have. I don't care what you also have. I care that you have that certificate, because if you have that certificate, we can hire you. Can you start Monday? Good. We're good to go. Yeah. So that great point you make, that I think you need to customize the education for the workplace. Yes.
Yeah, and also just be able to like you're gonna the enrollment cliff is real. Like, I always talk about enrollment cliff. Less people are going to enroll in traditional higher ed, so they're gonna actually go back after alum, and they're gonna go back after like, oh, just add this on. You've got a job, you're happily employed, but add this skill, this certificate afterwards. You're gonna see that. We're gonna see a rise in that learning for sure.
Now,
100%.
unfortunately, the traditional academia looks down on vocational education. We don't do that. And I say you can do both. That you can, if your focus is on contribution, you can train your people. And this is my first book, and my doctoral dissertation was about this, where you train people how to market in college. So
Mhm.
it's not one or the other. It's not either academia or vocational. It's both. Don't resist it. Plus, it's good brand for the college or university because the parents will go, "You got my kid a job. I like that. Well, let's give you some money, and my next kid's going to come to your college too
Yeah,
because I have a return on my investment," which a lot of colleges just don't do. Here's your piece of paper. Good luck to you, and that's insufficient in the 21st century.
yeah, 100%. Well, this has been great. A really robust conversation. I really learned a lot, took some notes, and I think this will also, as someone that's a career professional, I like that term. I'm gonna use that. I'm never gonna say retired. I'm gonna say recareering because they're always. I've even seen people still working forever. So I love that idea, and it's a different way. It's not like labor work, but it's just you're involved in something that gives you purpose every day. So it's work, passionate work. So this has been a great episode. Dr. Austin, can you just share, shout outs and plugs, people you want to show love to, whoever you want to show love to, and then ways the listeners can engage with you, connect with you, what you're working on. I'll make sure to put those in the show notes.
Best way to contact me is through my LinkedIn page, Dr. Chaz Austin, Chaz, like in zebra, Austin, like the capital of Texas. And everything's there. My links to my courses, my books, my TEDx talk, things I post, things I've written, et cetera, and ways to get a hold of me. So that's the portal to me.
And then the shout outs, anyone you want to show some love to, partners, collaborators, anything?
Um, no, I'm good.
All
I'm
right.
good.
All right.
Okay.
They know who he is. They know who they are. You got mad people. You got a lot of people you can show love to. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I think this has been great, and we'll stay engaged. As you know, like once you're in the alumni group of all my past guests, Positive Filter listeners, please check out this wonderful episode and follow up with Dr. Austin and all his wonderful resources. I'm actually going to plug into his LinkedIn course right now, Planning Your Career, just because I like LinkedIn learning courses. So that's pretty dope. Maybe that's something I'll aspire to do myself one day. As you know, every episode is dedicated to the memory of my late father-in-law, Jeff Kirsch. So please consider donating to the Jeff Kirsch Anti-Hunger Fund for all his work that he did fighting food insecurity during his career, as well as healthcare. Share, like, subscribe, leave a rating or review on Apple or Spotify helps elevate the podcast. Thank you so much for your support, and we're out. Thank you for listening to Positive Filter, a podcast that focuses on family, friends, career, with a little self-help along the way. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your family and friends, and like the Facebook page, Spreading Positivity of Movement. Thanks for listening.